Good morning. It's STS with DSP. Missed you last week. It was not what I expected last week. That's or did, how long have I been back? Maybe I did do last week. Man, I am so confused. When did I go and race? That would have been last week. I missed you guys. Yes, I did. You know, this is what happens when you get old. I'm going to be 60 any day now. I swear to goodness. I appreciate you here. If you're here for Shoot the Shit with DSP, I'm David Scott Peters, aka DSP. You are in the right place. Let's get our good mornings. Make sure you're logged into your Google account, your YouTube account. They're the same thing, so you can participate in the chat. We're going to get started with a good morning to Mary DeLeon. Good morning, Mary. I hope you're fantastic and can't wait to hear when you're moving to Florida. I know it's happening. Bob is in the house. What's going on? Good morning to all the passion seekers. Yeah, I'm with you. I like passion. Seaquake Brewing, Deja Wakefield's in the house. Good morning. Great webinar yesterday. The team got a lot from it. Thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. I've been very excited about this. I've got you reading a draft of the book, and so that I can come back to the second version and improve it. But I think it's a game changer. I really do think it's a game changer. I am this excited about something I've put together in I can't tell you how long, because I truly think it's going to change, revolution how things are done. We got Steve Eller in the house. Good morning, DSP says. Good morning to you, Steve. Hope you're doing great. Can't wait to get going on another 2-hour work session. We got working on presentations, new workshop coming up in Vegas in December, extending from 2 days to 3 days and becoming a little bit different. So we're going to get started here in just a second. I'm checking the time, how we're doing here. We're doing good. I want to give people an opportunity to log in. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, we got a bunch of you that have not said good morning yet, so make sure you're logged into your Google account, your YouTube account. They're the same thing. And then if you do me a favor, say good morning. That way I know you're there, you're participating. Because this Shoot the Shit is live, so I can answer your questions. But let us get started here. We're going to get things going. Let's get started. Welcome to Shoot the Shit with DSP. STS with DSP happens every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube, travel schedule permitting. We're going to invest about 30 minutes every day to get pumped about the upcoming weekend, get excited about crushing your goals, and finding the motivation to be the best you possible. Plus, I'll answer your burning questions. I'm David Scott Peters, creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and your coach. One more call out to make sure you have logged into your chat. Make sure you are there, because we're going to get started here. And I'm going to say, before we truly get started, log into the chat. Why? Because I want you to answer this question. So put it in the chat. Ready? What is the one task you feel like you've trained your team on over and over again, but they still don't do it consistently? Maybe it's completing the opening checklist. Maybe it's filling out the waste tracker. Maybe it's following a recipe card. Maybe it's proper portioning. Maybe it's checking the employees out in the evening or during the end of a shift before they leave. Maybe it's getting closing work done correctly. What's the one thing that makes you say, how many damn times do I have to train them on this? Think about that. Put it in the chat. Because today, we're going to talk about why the problem may not be that your employees are unwilling to learn. The problem may be that what you're calling training isn't actually training. Today, we're talking about train without burning out, the system that makes it stick. Now, yesterday, I delivered a Protect the Standard webinar for our members and their managers. I introduced what I call the Work Transfer Framework. It's a 7-part test for determining whether you have actually transferred the work to your team. Basically, is the work clear, trained, owned, visible, cadenced, coached, and protected? Those 7 pieces give you a system for installing another system, because restaurant pros don't usually have an information problem. You already have recipes. You already have checklists. You already have forms. You already have a procedure. You already know what should happen. The challenge is getting the work out of your head out of your hands and into the daily behavior of your team. And that starts with training. But there's a reason training feels exhausting in so many restaurants. You're training too much, too quickly, with no repeatable process. You hold manager meetings and upload 6 new priorities. You come home from a seminar with a binder full of ideas and announce 3 new systems. You notice 5 things wrong during a shift, so you try to correct all 5 before dinner service. Then you wonder why your team looks overwhelmed. Restaurant pros, your team is not a computer. You cannot download a new operating system into their brains during a 20-minute pre-shift. You cannot dump 12 new expectations on a manager and call it leadership. That is not training. That's an information drive-by. You slow down just long enough to fire boom, 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 a bunch of instructions through the window, then speed away, zoom, and wonder why nobody changed. Real training is not transferring information. Real training is transferring behavior. That's the distinction. That distinction matters. You can tell somebody how to do something and they can understand every word you said. That does not mean they can perform it correctly. Think about rowing. For those of you who don't know, I'm a rower. I rowed in high school, college, and I'm a master's rower. Now, rowing is a very complex thing, but it's got 4 basic, simple steps to it. A coach can explain to a brand new rower, you right now who's never rowed before, they can explain to you the rowing stroke. They can talk about the catch, the drive, the finish, and the recovery. The person, you, can nod and repeat every part back. Yep, got it. Then we put you in a boat. And within 3 strokes, you're trying to kill everyone. You are just out of sequence. You're going to hurt someone. You're going to hurt yourself. Knowing the words is not the same thing as performing this skill. The same thing happens in your restaurant. You explain how to complete a line check. You show a kitchen manager the form. You point to the boxes. You tell them what temperatures to record. Then you walk away believing the line check has been trained. No, you presented a line checklist. Training has not happened until the person can perform the behavior correctly without you taking over. That is why I want you to simplify your training process into 4 steps. Let's get that process into 4 steps. Why, show, watch, correct. Let's break those down. The first step is why. Explain why the standard matters. We don't fill out a line check because David made another form. We complete the line check because it tells us whether the station is stocked, safe, and ready before we get hit with business. It prevents us from discovering during the rush that the sauce is missing, the chicken is under-prepped, and the cooler is running at 48 degrees. We don't use a waste tracker because management wants more paperwork. We use it because every burnt burger, dropped chicken breast, and overportioned side represents real money leaving the restaurant. Without the information, we cannot find the pattern. With the pattern, or I should say without the pattern, we cannot fix the problem. Without fixing the problem, food costs continues to climb. Your employees do not need a 45-minute speech. They need a clear connection between the task and the result. This is what doing, and this is what why matters. That's step 1. Step 2, show. Demonstrate exactly what the task looks like when it's performed correctly. Don't point at a form and say, fill this out. Complete it with them. Show them when it gets started. Show them where the information comes from. Show them what gets written down. Show them where the form goes when it's finished. Show them what success looks like and stop using common sense as a training plan. You know what common sense really means in most restaurants. I know how to do it, so I assume you should know how to do it. That's garbage, man. Your restaurant is filled with people from different backgrounds, different generations, different education levels, and different levels of restaurant experience. What is obvious to a 20-year kitchen veteran may not be completely new, or could be completely new to a 19-year-old line cook. Clarity is not micromanagement. Clarity is kindness. It gives people a fair chance to win. The third step to watch is watch. This is the step most restaurant pros skip. You explain why, you show them what to do, then you walk away. You assume they got it. But how do you know? Have you watched them perform the task? Let them complete the opening checklist. Let them portion the product. Let them receive the delivery. Let them conduct an employee checkout. Let them run a pre-shift meeting. And while they're doing it, keeping your hands in your pockets. That may be the hardest part, because the second they hesitate, you want to jump in. You want to grab the clipboard. You want to finish the sentence. You want to take the knife. You want to solve the problem. You tell them you're helping. You tell yourself you're helping. But you're teaching them that when the work becomes uncomfortable, you will rescue them. You become the system. And that is how restaurant pros burn themselves out. Not because their people are incapable, because every time their people struggle, they take the work back. You have to allow somebody to work through the awkward stage of learning. They'll be slower than you. They may not do it exactly the way you would do it. They may need to stop and think, good. That is what learning looks like. Your job is not to prove that you are better at the task. Of course you're better at it. You may have done it for 20 years. Your job is to build somebody. Your job is to build someone who can eventually do it without you. The fourth step is correct. Once you watch the behavior, close the gap between what they learned and the standard. And correction does not mean tearing them apart. It might sound like you completed every section, which is good. You missed the cooler temperature. Let's go back and get that. Or your portions were consistent, but they were half an ounce heavy. Let me show you where you finished the portion and where it should be when you land. Or you check the server side work, but you signed the checkout before verifying the silverware. The signature means you personally verified everything. Be specific, correct the behavior, then have them do it again. Don't correct it and finish the task for them. That defeats the entire point. They perform it, you observe, you correct, they perform it again. That's how ability grows. And as ability grows, something else grows with it. Confidence. People are not confident because you tell them you've got this. They become confident because they've completed the task correctly enough times to know how to do it. Confidence is evidence. It builds through successful repetition. That's why training should not be one giant event. It should be a series of small, focused repetitions. One task, one standard, one person, repeated until the behavior sticks. That is where restaurant pros get impatient. You want to install the waste tracker, the key item tracker, the restaurant checkbook guardian, new opening checklist, new closing checklist, new labor system, all in the same week. I love the enthusiasm, but enthusiasm is not capacity. Every new system creates an additional new mental load for your managers and employees. They have to understand it. They have to practice it. They have to remember it under pressure, and they have to connect it to everything else happening during the shift. The busy Friday night shift is the test. Anybody can follow a new system on a quiet Monday afternoon when the restaurant's half empty. Pressure reveals whether the behavior has actually been installed. When the tickets stack up, somebody calls out, and the food delivery arrives late, people drift back to whatever they've always done. That doesn't necessarily mean they're lazy. That means the new behavior has not had enough repetitions to become their new behavior. So stop trying to transform the entire restaurant by next Thursday. Pick one important behavior. How many times have I told you that? Here, pick one important behavior. Train it completely. Protect it until it becomes the standard. Then move to the next one. This does not slow your progress. It accelerates it, because 6 half-installed systems don't produce 6 results. They produce confusion. One fully installed system produces the result you can build on. And the training process should not live entirely on your shoulders. Once someone can perform the behavior correctly, they can help train the next person. That is how training begins to scale. You train the manager. You watch the manager perform the task. You correct the manager. Then you watch the manager train an employee using the same process. Why? Show, watch, correct. Now you are not simply transferring a task, you are transferring the ability to train. That is leadership multiplication. And it's how you stop doing everything yourself. Your manager should not need you to personally train every new cook, server, bartender, or host. But they do need a training process that is clear enough for them to repeat. Otherwise, every manager trains differently. One explains the why. Another just hands over a checklist. Another says, follow Sarah around the night. Another tells the employee, you'll figure it out. Then 3 weeks later, everybody is frustrated because the new employee performs the job differently depending on who trained them. That is not an employee problem. That is a systems problem. The beauty of why, show, watch, correct is that it works with almost any skill in your restaurant. Train a cook to follow a recipe. Why, show, watch, correct. Train a manager to complete the schedule. Why, show, watch, correct. Train a host to quote accurate wait times. Why, show, watch, correct. Training a closing manager to verify the restaurant is ready to go before locking the doors. Why, show, watch, correct. The task changes. The training system does not. And when the training system stays consistent, your managers get better at training. Your employees learn faster. You stop repeating yourself, and the restaurant becomes less dependent on you. Now, I want to make one more distinction. Training is not the same thing as accountability. Training answers the question, this one question: can this person perform the behavior? Accountability answers this question: will the person perform the behavior consistently? You must answer the first question before jumping to the second. If the standard was unclear, the task was poorly demonstrated, and nobody watched them perform it, then punishing the employee for missing it is not accountability. It's blaming them for an incomplete training. But once the standard's clear, the behavior has been trained, the employee has demonstrated they can do it, and they choose not to do it, now we have an accountability conversation. That distinction protects your people from unfair expectations, and it protects you from endless retraining someone who's already knows what to do but refuses to do it. First, we build ability. Then we require consistency. That is how you protect the standard without becoming a screaming lunatic or exhausted superhero. So here is your Monday action. Choose one reoccurring task that your team does inconsistently. Not 5, 1. Choose a task that matters to profitability, hospitality, or operational readiness. Write down 4 things. Why does this task matter? How will I demonstrate it? When I watch the employee perform it. What specific standard will I use to correct the performance? Then complete one full why, show, watch, correct training cycle with the person who owns the task. Do not announce it in a meeting and assume it's done. Do not hand them a form and call it training. Do not take the task back when they struggle. Train the behavior until they demonstrate it correctly. One task, one person, one completed training cycle. That is your Monday action. Restaurant pros, the goal is not to spend your life training employees. The goal is to train in a way that eventually makes you unnecessary. You are not building people who wait for your instructions. You are building people who know the standard, can perform the work, and have the confidence to own the result. Slow down long enough to transfer behavior correctly. Because when the training sticks, the work transfers. When the training transfers, your managers lead. When your managers lead, you finally stop being the system. Culture is what you allow. Protect the standard. That is the work. Now go take action. That concludes my portion of STS with DSP. Now it's time for your questions, your comments, what you need from me. Let's see how we're doing on time and whether we've got anything from my team. Nothing from my team. We still have a little time for question answer. So again, let's look here. I've got way more of you who have not said good morning, so I know you're there. So if you want to participate in the chat, ask me a question to answer. Make sure you're logged into your YouTube account or your Google account. They're the same thing. That way you can participate in the chat. What do you guys have for me? Now, there's about a 15, 20-second delay, so I'm drawing things out a little bit to allow you to type. Hit enter, and let me see it here. Nothing? Nothing at all? I will say before I finish, let me put this up there. The work transfer process that we've created is truly going to revolutionize how we coach. Been doing this for 23 years. I'm now in year 24. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing new that I created. It's now been put into a system, and I kind of feel like a dunce. It's taken me 23 years to learn how to put together that work transfer framework. If you want to learn more about how it can change your world and how we're changing, scan that QR code. Get on a call with Ryan James, one of our members who's changed their business, their life, and still is able to help us help you. And on that call, he's going to learn more about you and your business, find out where your prime cost is, tell you what's possible, tell you what we do, see if there's a possible fit. We'd love to work with you because this work transfer framework is going to revolutionize already an incredible training program, already an incredible coaching program. Now, I've got no questions, so I'm going to guess that you guys have had enough DSP at this point, or something has gone completely wrong with YouTube. We'll figure it out. With that, I'm going to end the stream here. Go out there, kick some ass. And I will not see you next Friday. I'll see you the next, I believe. Cheers.